What's up, guys? Welcome to Forgemaster Metal Reviews, the place where you can get the most out of your metal.
Today, we are discovering the underground treasures of the BANDCAMP metal scene. We love to jump into the dungeons and uncover some of the fantastic metal bands that you might not know about.
If you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's get into it. My first pick here is Golgothan Remains, Adorned in Ruin, released April 1st on Brilliant Emperor / Sentient Ruin Laboratories. If I had to sum up this slab of filthy death metal into one phrase, it would be a filthy colossus. I admit that I was intrigued by the name, mostly because it had Golgothan in it, which means a fictional shit demon. I only know this because of the infamous scene in Dogma. Cue it.
A shit demon!
Anyway, Sydney-based dissonant death metal titans are back with their sophomore effort, and all I have to say is I need a fucking shower, man. Holy shit, this album is enormous in the riff and disgusting production department. The band itself reminds me a lot of Ulcerated Times, and dare I say even Gorguts. The tremolo riffs and screeching vocals glide over a fantastic rhythm section that collide perfectly to make some of the most apocalyptic and gross death metal that I've heard in the underground scene. Although this album didn't completely blow me away, these youngsters are onto something truly unique here in the crushing atmospheric death metal department. 4 out of 5 towers of excrement.
My list today celebrates all things that are sad, mopey, and melodic. And my first pick sets the tone just right with Celestial Season's upcoming record, Mysterium 1. These Dutch doomsters caught my attention in the mid-2000s with their release of Solar Lovers, which was released in 1995, so I was a bit late to the game here, but Solar Lovers itself is a criminally underrated gothic funeral doom record. Since 2020, the band has returned from a 20-year hiatus and are now entering what they're calling the doom era. I don't know that they ever left that, but okay. This brand of melodic doom death weaves in gothic elements with their usage of cellos and violins. The production is raw and gritty, lending itself to a less polished, more 90s era tonality. As of right now, the band has only put out 3 songs, and they're all pretty damn good. Mysterium 1 comes out on April 25th, and I'm expecting one of the more enthralling funeral doom releases from this band. Be sure to keep this one on your radar. I think we're going to be talking about it, and we'll give it a full rating when it gets released.
My next pick here is Epitaphe 2, released April 11th, and it's an independent release. Dude, this album blew me the fuck away. They call it an EP, and it is 4 songs, but it totals over an hour long in runtime. Normally, I'd complain about that, but I was thoroughly entertained throughout this entire slab of progressive death doom. Progressive death metal in itself is a weird subgenre that spans a ton of different bands, but I'd equate Epitaph's latest release to bands like Esoteric, Disembowelment, Dead Congregation, Morbid Angel, and even some Incantation at times. This is an extremely unique and oppressive death metal release that slams all sorts of emotions together into a truly mesmerizing package. I love the production on this album as well. The drums are weighty and huge, but not clicky and overwhelming like you hear in modern death metal. The album is also massive in atmosphere and complexity, but so superbly executed throughout so many different subgenres that it's truly a sight to behold. The only small criticism that I have here is there is a little bit of a lack of uniformity in the sense of that some transitions feel a little jarring at times. Overall, it is masterfully composed. Do not miss this album. 4.5 out of 5, Evolving Wilds.
All right, more proggy death doom gothic goodness right here with Lux Incerta's sophomore record, Dark Odyssey. The melodic prog doom scene can be a struggle to get noticed. You've got to take our word for it. We are in one of those bands. The music is nuanced and it's not always super accessible. It's very niche. Lux Incerta does a nice job of balancing the extreme metal elements that I want to hear with the movement and forwardness, which is not not a word, but fuck off, of the music. One of the things I love about this genre is its juxtaposition of slow and somber atmospheres with catchy melodies and waltzing riffs. Lux Incerta is doing the genre a service. Nothing groundbreaking here, but certainly some cool moments. 3.5 out of 5 Ravens on watch.
My last pick here is Blood Countess. Occulta, Tenebris released April 1st, and look at that, another independent release. Labeled as blood-curdling and virulent black metal from the heart of England, this album was another pleasant surprise. Although strange to discover such a cold and bleak black metal record in the springtime in New England, I was surprised by how killer the compositions were on Occulta Tenebris throughout its 40-ish minute runtime. For its UK roots, the album sounds overwhelmingly Scandinavian, which was kind of surprising to me. The guitars are razor sharp and cold, with that distinct hiss found in that kind of black metal. Bass has a killer evil and grindy tone to it here though, so it's not that like oppressive coldness. You got kind of a low end feel. And the drums thunder despite their loose feel as well. The vocals are also excellently composed, floating over the compositions but not completely drenched in reverb and delay and hiding behind it, like most black metal bands unfortunately do these days. One thing I really liked about this album, despite the simplicity in the song compositions, is there are some sick guitar solos, which is weird for black metal, but there's some ripping shreddiness on this album. Also not a word, but also fuck you. If you're looking for a killer black metal release that's more on the evil and misanthropic side with less focus on melody, you absolutely should check this one out. Fans of Dark Throne will be right at home here. 4 out of 5 Blood-Drenched Fiends.
Under the artistic name Vile, American musician Kyle Caldwell has been busy since the early 2000s, honing his craft in various bands. Under the name Diminished Empires, Vile Kyle has unleashed the sophomore debut of said project, entitled The Dawn of Failure. Vile makes it a point to let the listener know that he is focused on the fretless instrument, which is pretty rad. There's a certain challenge, absolutely, to playing those without it sounding goofy, especially in the metal aesthetic. The direction of this music is blackened prog, I guess. It kind of reminds me of like early mid-era Agalloch, sprinkled in with some like Opeth proggy heaviness. And I really gotta say, I love the production on this. This is one of those DIY black metal bands that can very easily get overlooked in just the massive crowd of atmospheric DIY solo black metal bands. But I wouldn't put this genre-wise in the atmospheric black metal category. There's a lot more to it than that. Overall, this is a gem of a find, probably my favorite on this list, and I don't really see anyone supporting it on BanDCamp, which is a total shock. I don't see anybody talking about it on YouTube, but that's why you're here to help discover new things, and we're doing the heavy lifting for you. It is a bit of a beast of a record, clocking in at over 61 minutes, so there's kind of a time sink. Totally worth it. 4.2 out of 5 Crumbling Cityscapes.
And what were you digging for BanDCamp releases this month? Drop those down in the comments, and while you're at it, hit subscribe.
As always, go with the gods, our Forgemaster brethren. Don't be afraid of the Dark Odyssey.